Alrighty. Welcome everybody to the very first live episode of Find Your Shine, a new little creation of mine that I'll be sharing more and more about in the upcoming days. And I'm really excited today to connect with this gem of a human, Trentamus Briggs, all the way from Boise, Idaho. And as fate would have it, I happened to connect with Trentamus less than a month ago. And we had a one-on-one session, which was absolutely epic for me and my own personal life and work. And to be honest, I didn't really know anything about you before we connected that day. But I can tell you that after that super powerful hour that I absolutely know your essence. And I think that you're the real deal and one of the good guys. So I'm really excited to be here today with you and for you to be willing to be here with me too.
Yes. Thank you, Cara. That
So,
was a potent session, and I feel the same of knowing your essence afterward and
yeah,
not knowing anything about each other to like, holy shit, that was real and awesome
I know.
afterward.
And isn't that like, I mean, we have all of these, like we have some complaints about like this social media world and like how we connect in some aspects, but then when like things like that happen, it's like, whoa, I'm so thankful for that, because otherwise like we would never have crossed paths, so that's just very powerful to me. So
Great. Yes, it's opportunity then.
yeah. So I think that from what I understand about you, and we're gonna get into that a bit more, but you work mostly with men, or you're passionate about working with men. Yeah. Holding space, supporting. I mean, that's what I think is just so absolutely incredible about you, because I really want to thank you for that, because I feel like in this beautiful life we all live, there just isn't enough support for men right now, as men are going through all of their own transformations and healing journey and learning what it means to be vulnerable, learning what it means to open up, to show emotion. So thank you for doing that. That's really a really good thing.
I'm honored to be able to support them.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, I'm just sitting in full appreciation for the work that you do. And I can't wait to hear more about it. So I guess what I'd really like to know is like, what inspired you to get into working with men, and particularly in this sort of really vulnerable, type of or line of work?
Yeah, great question. The answer I've come to is fate. It's a lot of fate, and that looks like me going through hell as a man, going through completely not believing in myself, low self-worth, addictions, suicide attempts, depression, really everything I could imagine, and then deciding to make my life better, just a little at a time. Just, okay, I'm not going to take my own life. I got to make this life good. At least okay. I just want to feel okay. If I feel okay, I'll be doing really good compared to where I was. So little steps forward. Long story short, I dove into self-development, became obsessed with it, addicted to it, and years and years and years of work, everything I could get my hands, heart, and head on, and then after a while, feeling significantly better. And then I would have people come to me and ask for support, and I'd share things I'd learned, and it seemed to help. And then they started sending their friends, and then after a while, I just thought, okay, I think this is something I'm meant to do. It really feels good to me. And I was working with men and women in the beginning, and then realized that there are, just like you said, there are a lot of men that need some support, a lot of really good men, and that are just had some challenges in their life that are still affecting them and how they see themselves in the world. So I've dedicated my life to helping them to have happier, healthier, more fulfilled lives where they can connect and be who they really are.
So good. And what I love about what you just said is that, and this is what I'm really realizing just within my own life, is that our greatest wounds are that we are willing to go into the work and heal from and transform, is our medicine for others, you
Mhm.
know? And we all have that, right? Like, I mean, every single person, as much as you're willing to get into those places within that are uncomfortable, not that pretty to look at, you know, all of the things. And when you transform that and you kind of come out like on top and you're, you know, like you're feeling better, um, we attract people to us that are kind of going through the same thing. And then we're able to kind of like offer our support, our own inspiration, you know, tips and tricks that we've learned along the way. So it's really
Yes,
beautiful.
it is.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
it is.
Um, what, so, you know, just because I'm really curious about this right now with men, what do you think is like the most common thread, if there is one, or like a common wound that you happen to see?
Mm. I see a lot of men putting their value outside of them.
Mm,
That's the most common wound that I'm seeing, especially on relationships with women.
right.
That if this beautiful woman likes me, that means I'm valuable. That means
Right.
to myself, to society, that I have value. If this woman sees value in me, then I have value, which really plays with our genetics. And because we were in tribe for 2 million years, and our bodies are built for us to procreate and to sustain a as a species. So on the men's side, we're really attracted to women with birthing hips, with full breasts, with because that to our genetics, that means this woman's going to survive having the baby, and that our child's going to have great genetics. And so, just as far as what we're attracted to, there's a reason behind it.
Mhm.
um, and it's not always necessarily those things, but when it is, that when we're attracted to them, and a lot of times it's because our genetics feel like that would be a great mate to have children with, because of what the genetics of the child will become.
Right.
And so it's gotten extended beyond what's actually true. We've been, even in our culture, they uh, we're actually taken advantage of within that. So we put our value in our careers, in our vehicles, in our homes, in everything except for ourselves. And so we take all of our power and we give it away in our
Mhm.
relationships, in our partnerships, in life and career and money and status and what we drive, who and so it's we keep pouring it out of us and wondering why there's nothing left,
Mhm.
instead of finding that it actually has everything to do inside of us of what our value is. And
Right.
when we share it, when we give to, when we find it, we tap into the source, and then we share it with the world as being generative, versus the other way is being consumptive. When we need value, when we're seeking value and approval outside of us, in relationships and cars and career and money and status, and we're constantly trying to get value, we're trying to
Mm,
to pull value inside, and it doesn't work. And so it's always contingent upon the circumstances outside of us. So a lot of us feel like we're unworthy, is
mhm.
really what it comes down to, because we've given our worth away, because that's really what we were taught as children.
Right.
We were taught to be good boys, right? Be a good boy, don't be a bad boy. All of these little things that actually add up, and shown that in advertisements and media, that the guy with the car and the jawline, and the beautiful, gets the beautiful woman, and then that means he's better than,
Right.
he's worthy, he's looked up to as a hero. And it's really done a number on us as men,
Right.
and also been told at the same time to man up. Don't be a insert explicit female body part here,
Right.
which we can go into that for an hour. And so it's really been, we've been told, stuff your emotions and try and become a man and achieve,
Right.
get from the world. And so a lot of us are waking up, a lot of us are good-hearted men, and we're realizing, like, that doesn't work for me at all, that
Mhm.
really actually hurts. And so we keep running the same pattern and running into challenges of value. And so I see that happening a lot. That was significant within my life for sure. That's what caused almost all of the challenges I shared earlier.
Right. Yeah, that external validation of like, And I think, and the measure of success, right? Like, as in, the more you attain, the more successful you are.
Yeah.
And no matter, like, it's, oh yeah, the external validation, which is just such a common theme for
Mhm.
humanity, right? It's that codependent, um, yeah, it's the codependent behavior rather than like really diving in and embracing who you are, all the parts, right? And to me, what I see too, like, or what I hear in that is that, like, misbalance between the feminine and the masculine nature, because we have both. And so for men, feeling like if they are in touch with their femininity or their emotional side, that that's not validated either, or that's squished down, like being vulnerable. So I find that's really, like, that just makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And we've been told that it's bad. And there's also, it's this balance where a woman, from what I found, my research and conversations and posts, and is that, and you'll know this more than me, but what I found is that women want a man that's vulnerable and open, but not someone that they need to take care of at the same time.
There's a
And
fine
then like,
balance.
there is, yeah.
I
And
know,
as a man, we're like, on emotions, we've been taught not to have them, and that we're weak if we do. And then women
right,
are calling us up saying, hey, no, actually, we want you to have emotions. We just want you to know how to work with them, how to
right,
use them as a tool. And also, we don't want to be your caretakers. We want to be your lover. We don't
right,
want to be your mother. There's a
right,
big difference. And so we want to feel you, but we don't want to take care of you.
right,
And so it's new for us to be waking up to that and saying, whoa, okay, so I can have these feelings, I can share them. I just got to make sure that I know what to do with them and use them as a tool, and then I'm
right,
not also projecting that the relationship, the woman in the relationship or the partner has to fix them, that
right.
it's their responsibility. That's a huge thing for us as men that we're waking up to, and women are really facilitating a beautiful space for us to do that because of the uprising within, I see within womanhood right now.
Yeah. I know, I read I was reading your post about that, and I loved it because it's like, it's so true. And I mean, like, it's got to be hard in that sense. It's kind of a paradox within it, because it's like, yes, be vulnerable, show your emotion, but don't need me to like, it's like, but then
Yeah,
if it turns into this, like, neediness, then women are like, the polarity kicks in, and then women are like, no, I'm
yeah,
not your mom.
yeah,
So and I think that that's a big testament too of that, like, coming back within to being your own, like, not needing somebody else to validate you, to be able to, like, validate yourself, have somebody
mhm,
hold the space for you and listen, but not expect them to um fix it, I guess, is
exactly.
essentially, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I love doing, is supporting men in, okay, have emotions, tap into them, because if you stop them, they're just going to blow up pretty frequently, more than you might
Yeah.
realize. And in a way that, and that you may not want on, generally on a partner or children, or, in traffic, or, and then actually had to use those as fuel to direct towards creating something,
Right.
towards, and actually tapping into that as a man and rewilding ourselves and saying it's okay to have anger as a man. It's a good thing. It's just what we do with it. If there's a man that's coming to hurt us or our family, damn straight we need to get in anger, and it's a beautiful, healthy, perfectly acceptable thing.
Right.
And then, but if it's anger in the wrong aspect, if we're stuffing our fear, it becomes anger
Right.
to protect ourselves. And then we project that onto someone else, and we actually harm relationships, we harm people, we harm ourselves.
Right.
It's how to use these emotions. It's our really, actually, what I found, superpowers. Like when we can harness our emotion and tame them, it's like a wild, sometimes like a wild rabid animal.
Yeah.
And when we tame it and we find a way to love on it and then utilize it, it can become one of our greatest benefits in every way, shape, and form.
Right.
It's really taking the time to understand what we're feeling and then how to utilize it, and with intention.
Hmm. I love that. And I mean, to me, that spans, like, you know, for both, like for all genders or however you identify, right? It's like such a, like, that's just a good golden rule, right? You know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So when you are working with your clients and, you know, these things are coming up and they're presenting itself, how do you see this? Like, how does it play out in their day-to-day life? How, like, because, like, let's be honest, not everybody's super in tune with emotion, and there might be this like external presentation of what's going on without really having that connection of what's happening inside. So, like, how would it present itself?
Good question. So I've developed what's called the integrated man method, and that I've been developing over the last 10 years. And there's a step-by-step process. And a lot of the first step is actually finding out what the vision of the man is. And the second step is who they really are. So it's developing. A man must have a vision and a purpose. It's just innate within us. It's very vital for us to have this vision and this purpose, and then finding out who we are within that. Who do we decide to be? And so taking moments, I always slow them down, because we're really taught to do and achieve and do more, and that's actually pretty ineffective for what I've found, because what we're really seeking is the experience of the feeling when we achieve the thing.
Mm,
So if we want success and money or a great relationship, really underneath it all, when we cut underneath it, we want to feel a value. We want to feel connected. We want to feel seen. We want to feel loved. We want to feel heard.
mhm,
And so what we do is I've helped them to find, okay, what do you want and why do you want it? And then how can you experience that now, day to day? Because there's no such thing as finish lines in life,
right.
except our body's expiration date. That's really the only finish line. And
Mhm,
that's just actually the beginning of the next one.
right.
And so it's, what do you want? Why do you want it? Why do you really want this thing? What are you going to feel when you have the relationship? What are you going to feel when you have the car or the
Mhm,
career, the successful business? And how can you actually see that you're experiencing those same feelings each and every day? And the more that we tune into that and say, like right now, feeling connected and heard and seen by you, and saying, I'm receiving this now. It's not just at a finish line. And there's so many men that I support that have gotten to that finish line, and they're like, wow, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be.
right.
I'm still empty and I still need more, because they were never actually filling their cup along the way, and who they chose to be and what they chose to experience and what they really actually needed.
Mhm. Makes so much sense. And that's the, um, it, you know, when we are able to tune into, like, if we think of what we want the result to be, of the emotional result to be, and if we can actually like harness that and manifest and create that every day in our life, then, to be honest, all the things that we want are just gonna, like, we just magnetize them because
Mhm.
we're already that, you know. So then we have that, you know, the magnetism of that, which makes so much sense, you know.
Mhm.
You can get
100%.
all the things that you want, really, but it's an inside job, right? You got to do the inside work first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And what I understand of what you do, what I've seen in my experience, and it goes along with what I'm doing, a lot of people are
Yeah.
doing, which is inviting people to step up into the ability of creatorship, the
Hmm.
ability to live life from, instead of being a result of the circumstances, to create the circumstances from the inner result.
Right.
And so be, instead of have, what is it, have do be, it's be do have,
Right.
right? And so, and how, yeah, so right now the world is coming to a new level of understanding within reality, and how we can actually create with intention, and it stems from our emotions. That, and when we boil down, it's so simple and yet powerful at the same time, where we do everything for an emotion. Everything we say, every word we do, every action, everything we do is for an emotion. And so when we realize that, we really break it down, and then and say, holy shit, I could just do a shortcut. What emotions do I want to feel, and how can I feel them every day instead?
Right.
And what we've been taught and programmed within our culture on purpose is to set everything outside of us, and then one day when I achieve this thing, I'll give myself permission to feel these things. And when we really break it down that way, it makes no effing sense at all, right? And so coming back, and so I just support them in coming back in, into what do you want to feel right now?
Mm-hmm.
What is it you can feel right now? What do you want to feel then? And how can you feel that now along the way? And by doing so, just like you said, we'll magnetize and actually have that experience and attract and create that experience much more quickly.
Yeah. Like in your physical reality, rather. Yeah. I love it. So what I mean, like you touched a little bit on it at the beginning and said that you obviously, it sounds like you went through some really, um, not hard times, because I'm sure they were hard, but I mean, like, it's all part of what brought you here. But, was that the catalyst then, would you say, of what really inspired you to get into this line of work, your own journey?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And it feels like a soul thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've had experiences where I know this woo stuff to be real. Meeting a psychic that knew everything about me in specific detail, and he did not even have social media. He knew things that no one else knew. He didn't ask a single question to me. He knew how my childhood was. He knew. And so these experiences that opened me up to, wow, this woo stuff is actually real. And
That
so
was
there's,
better way.
yeah, but it's so good. Yeah, it's good. And so, yeah, I mean, there was significantly challenging times. I mean, my father died when I was 20. He was just an ass pretty much my whole life. He was really cool up until I was 10, and then he was an ass for the rest of the time. And and including till the day he died. Like, and then when he died, my mother was in the mental hospital for trying to take her own life. And so at her funeral, or at his funeral, I just remember, God, I want my mom here. I would love to have my mom, and knowing where she was, and breakups, and seeing the woman sleeping with another man 2 feet in front of me in our house. I mean, just significantly challenging things. Always being, I developed a pattern of not being good enough in my relationships. And so I was always replaced with another man from childhood on. So boy, that was really challenging. So I realized I started to have to wake up. I'm like, I cannot live this way any longer. And so I have to do something. And so what I found really significantly helped me to just feel okay, to feel better, to feel some sense of happiness. And just the more that I developed it, by no means am I perfect. I still have my challenges like we all, and I actually enjoy them,
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to improve. But I found that one of the two most significant changes in my life was when I called my friend Justin, and I woke up. I remember I was 40 pounds overweight. I was drinking every day. I was smoking cigarettes. I was numbing out on playing video games, and I was smoking weed, and I was actually selling weed. I was living off just selling weed at the time. And I remember waking up one morning, and I had my hand right here underneath my arm, and it was full of fat. There was this flab of fat, and I just became disgusted, and I looked over, and there was beer and bongs and empty beer bottles, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I cannot do this anymore. This is not okay. And so it was an awakening moment. And I called my friend Justin Trail, who's a personal trainer, said, Justin, get my ass in the gym. Like, whatever I need to do, whatever I need to pay you, call me every day. I gotta change. I can't live this way anymore. And so he did. And so I started to work out, which then propelled me to start eating healthier. I started feeling better, and I became obsessed with working out, with food, and with meal prepping, and even supplements. I had way too many supplements, very unhealthy. But it got me out of the hole and where I was. And so I reached out to him, and he reached down in the hole and started helping me to pull myself out. And so that changed everything for me. And that was the beginning. And then I've had a men's group for the last 6 years that have skyrocketed my results and my experience of myself. And so I know that there are other really good-hearted men in this world that truly seek to be generative for community, for their family, for their lives, that they've tried everything. They've gained the success, they've gained the car, they have, the things that people would look at as successful, but they're still empty inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know I've come across so many damn good men, and that they're just seeking to find fulfillment in ways that don't actually create it.
Yeah.
And so I love to support them and bringing it back into themselves, to their alignment, to their experience with the divinity inside and outside of them, and then being able to facilitate that on a daily basis and to live from that place of their divine masculinity.
Mm. I love it. I love it because it's almost like I could have said the same thing about what I do,
Mm-hmm.
but used like women as, you know what I mean? Like it's just the
Yeah.
opposite. So I just love I just love it. I love everything about it. So thank you. It's so good. Um, and one thing that I just, when you were talking, because a lot of times when we're in this line of work, when we're considered like a leader or a healer, a lot of times we can put this expectation on ourselves of perfection. And I mean, not just like people who help other people, but I mean, everybody does this. We have this ideal of what perfection looks like and what it means to be perfect. And it's, like thinking that there's like when you start this healing process, there's like an end final destination where everything's going to be perfect,
Yeah.
And I think it's just really important to like bust that myth open, because even though you hold space for, lots of people to go through their own healing transmissions, I do the same thing. It's like, it's not like as we help others, we also expand and then bring more up into that expansion. Like it's this continuous like evolution. And the mentor that I work with, she said the other day, and I just loved it. She said, it's not about being perfect, it's being perfectly you, which means you're
Yeah.
willing to get
Yeah.
into it, And I just loved that because it's never about being perfect. It's just about being perfectly you, which is really embracing yourself for exactly where you're at.
100%.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. And what I found is that whatever we look up to, we expect within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was young and God was conditionally loving and he only loved me if I was perfect, then guess what I did to myself? I
Right.
conditionally loved myself. Same with my parents. They were conditionally loving. And I looked up to them. So of course I was conditionally loving and could only love myself if I was perfect.
Right.
Complete bullshit. And, but that was kind of just the game we play. And so knowing that, I would do a disservice to my men by by holding myself to be perfect, and then they're going to expect themselves, and I don't want to be perfect. I don't want them to be perfect.
Yeah.
And so me being vulnerable and real actually connects them with me, and they
100%.
don't. Yeah, and that's much better. I don't want to be this guru on a
Exactly.
fucking mountain trying to be perfect and pitch. No, I want to be the guy that's linked arm in arms with the guys next to me, with everyone, with humanity, walking along together this
Yeah.
path within what we're experiencing, which is not easy by any means.
Right.
Look at what's happening now. So we in linking arm in arm and saying, hey, look, we're all human. We all have our shit, all of us. And how do we support each other and in calling each other up when it's needed,
Right.
when it's asked by us together or individually or by them or within the world. And right now, to me, this COVID-19 is an example for the earth calling us up and
Mm,
saying, hey guys, it's time. No more bullshit. No more like resting on your laurels and just doing whatever you want and treating the planet like shit and not respecting and connecting with others and just going about your day in consumption mode. How can we be called up into generative mode?
right.
And so having that that understanding that we are all perfectly imperfect.
Mhm.
Like we were all made from one divine substance, which is perfect, and we get to play the game of being imperfect, which is so much more fun.
Yeah.
And how do we come back and spiral back into the truth of who we really are and embody that, bring that into this life and show up in that way? And I loved what you said. It really is about just being us fully.
Mhm.
And those are the leaders. I don't want to be led by a guy that pretends to be perfect.
Mhm.
And I don't want to expect myself within that. It's finding a balance between accepting myself and also calling myself up at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah. It's just the realness to me that's so important. It's like, let's not pretend anymore. We're all having a human experience here. It's not friggin' easy.
Yeah.
There's times when it's challenging. There's times when we're stretched beyond what we feel like we can handle. But like, to hide that and pretend that things like that don't um, surface within us or come up for us, or we don't have our own struggles, I think is a true disservice, because
Hmm.
it just isn't real.
Yeah.
There's no authenticity in that. So
Right.
good.
Yeah.
So this little, podcasty, whatever it is that's happening here, is called Find Your Shine. And I was saying to you before we kind of went live here that my business is Soul Shine Wellness. And to me, when I started it, it was all about, doing things to support your soul to shine, which to me is your true essence, your divinity, your the really who you are is a shiny essence within. And so for me to start this interaction with people was about, inspiring other people that they too have a shine within that's just waiting to be polished and brought out and seen um, within them. And I'm wondering, what you do to keep your shine going. Like, what do you have that are daily practices or tips or things that have helped you stay connected to that part of yourself?
Yeah. Great, great, great question. What's been beautiful is this experience of quarantine has really given an opportunity to refine that. Each day just kind of seems to go so quickly and melt into the next. And so I found there's some really important daily habits for me. And that is the morning routine is one of the most important.
Mm-hmm.
And that so on my perfect days, by no means does this happen all the time. Sometimes yes, and I feel most alive. Most of the time I'd say I get 60% of this done,
Right.
right? So I wake up, immediately start in gratitude mode. What am I grateful for? Holy shit, I just woke up. I get another day. This is great. I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for my dog. I'm thankful for having enough money and food. And then I go into visualizing the life that I truly want to have and experiencing it emotionally and visually as if it's happening right now
Mm-hmm.
and or have happened in the past. So I go into experiencing that and allow myself to fully feel that, and actually have a Joe Dispenza meditation that I use sometimes with that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wake up and do a transcendental meditation. I've been doing that for the last 7 years. That has been a game changer for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and any meditation really works with that. Water, of course, some lemon water, stretching, exercise, go for a run, work out, come back, and really just being present in each moment, enjoying the sun or lack thereof, or flowers, and then I serve throughout the middle of the day. I eat good foods, eat foods that will nourish my body, and 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 intuitively listen to what that is. Service is huge. Also creating my business. So working on, okay, these are the things I need to get done each and every day. And so having a list of them and organizing and structure. I found that actually the more structure I have, the more freedom I feel, which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it would be the opposite. I used to have no structure. And now the more that I've organized my time, and even on Saturdays, I structured that day for no structure. So I
Mm-hmm.
just do whatever I want. Um, and so I serve, build my business, and meditate again in the middle of the day, eat good foods. And then at the end of the day, I read, I study, I, I learn something new, whether it's playing the flute or the didgeridoo or the guitar or learning Spanish or what's something that feels exciting for me to do or learn in that moment. I've also found that the emotions really, the extent of capacity to have an emotion is directly proportional to the flow of our body. So it's the fancy way of saying the more that we move in unstructured ways, the more that we can feel different emotions. So throughout the day, I'll be kind of stretching and moving and dancing. Music is a huge one for me. I love music. If anyone wants a good playlist, I got a couple. I'll be happy to share. And then the nighttime routine of just reading, learning, um, connecting. I do my best to connect with people, and then some nighttime tea, and then I go into visualizations again, and then I go to bed, ending in gratitude.
It's beautiful. It's pretty similar to my day too. I love it. It's like, and I love that what you said too about like
Mhm.
setting the container to flow through. It's so essential, you know, like, yeah, it's so essential for me too, just to schedule it, but then allow the flow to naturally happen. It's really good.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I mean, food, like hands down, it's going to make you feel really good. Moving
Mhm.
your body, hands down, you know, like
Yeah.
meditating, yes, like all of the things, right, that we can do for ourselves that help us really connect within and help, like, if we're eating crappy food, drinking crappy things, if we're watching crappy things, we're going to feel crappy. Like you are what you eat, think, drink, you know, all of the things. So
Yeah.
the more you can kind of clean up your vessel that way, the more I think it's accessible for you to find that inner shine within. And then once you do, then you're just catapulted into this whole other reality, you know?
Yes. Yes. Exactly. It's like if we have the most beautiful car on the planet and we're putting really terrible gas in, it's going to run like crap, even
Yeah.
though it could be the most beautiful, amazing machine that's ever
Yeah.
existed. And our bodies really are.
Yeah, for sure. Um, why do you think you're on the earth at this time?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say, the main one is because because I want to be, and that I chose to come here to experience this life and to develop my ability to choose who I am. And in part of that, I've chosen to also do my part to support others
Beautiful.
and experience the complete prism of life from
Right.
all things, from the challenging to the beautiful to the dark to the light. It's all beautiful, from having great sex to eating great food to to feeling completely elated and traveling to new places to just laying in my bed and feeling afraid,
Right.
feeling pain, feeling unworthiness, feeling scarcity, feeling it all. So
Hmm.
I've come here to experience all of that, and it's all beautiful.
Yeah.
And and yeah, it's a really, I'm glad I did.
It's the
I'm
human
glad
life.
God allowed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like everything you said, like that's what it is to be human, you know, all of that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay, I only have a couple more questions. One would be, do you have somebody that you really admire and you look up to that's maybe like a spiritual mentor or a spiritual teacher or anybody that really like you really admire and look up to?
Yeah, good question. To pick one, there's been quite a few throughout my life.
Hmm.
And I would say my teacher, Mukunda Dawi, because he has been so patient and loving with us and just always showing up and always being present. And no matter how, I mean, he supports probably a group of men of 20,
Hmm.
20 to 30, and he's just always there. He there hasn't been a time I've seen him cry, I've seen him laugh, I've seen him do things that don't even seem possible in this world. And one of the greatest things is I've seen him hold a place of unconditional love for me and my brothers, or my brothers and I, no matter what dumb shit we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he will always call us up, always hold a space of presence and strength and love.
Beautiful. Love it. Um, are you familiar with the term legacy of love?
No.
So, a legacy of love is something that you would like to leave behind once you're not on this planet anymore.
Mm.
That will still sort of, hold your essence, your teachings, your inspiration, your gifts. And, that could come in many different forms. And I'm just wondering if you have an idea what your legacy of love might be.
This is your first interview? Damn, girl. It's good. I would say, yeah, legacy of love. When you were asking that, it really felt very similar to my teacher.
Yeah.
That if I could choose anything, it would be for people to know who they truly are,
Mm-hmm.
like to know what they're capable of, to know that they're loved, right? To be seen, to be heard, to be celebrated, and all aspects of them, from the dark to the light and everything in between, and to know that no matter what happens, it's all going to be okay,
Mm-hmm.
and that we are much more greater and more powerful than we have any idea. And my wish would be to plant the seed of experiential knowledge of that within each person I come in contact with.
Beautiful. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So that's really all I have to ask. I have one more question that's super light. What book are you reading right now?
Good question. Actually, I'm going to grab it real quick.
Okay.
So it's The Illusions and the Adventures of the Reluctant Messiah. It's a great one. It's by Richard Bach, who also did Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Oh,
And
that's a good one.
yeah, and so I've been really enjoying it. I actually found that I like to read stories that are fictional but
Yeah.
have truth within them.
Beautiful.
Before bed.
Can
Yeah.
you put it up again so I can see it? It's called
Illusion,
Illusions
The Adventures of a
of
Reluctant
the
Messiah.
Messiah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you have any
Mhm.
questions for me before we finish? Because I mean, I've been pretty much drilling you for the past hour.
Right. Good. There were so many good ones. I'd say, what if someone's watching this and they feel compelled to become more of themselves, tap into their divinity, and to live a life more fulfilled with the feelings and the experiences they want to have? And what wisdom would you share with them during the times that we're having?
Like at this time right now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are unprecedented times for sure. So if they want to get more in touch with their divinity and their true essence,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
connect to the breath all the time, connect to nature, and connect with emotions, any emotion that is rising within, and embracing those emotions, embracing yourself, loving yourself through all the feelings, the good ones and the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
And what would be your what is going to be your legacy of love?
My legacy of love? I'm going to write a book that I want to leave behind. That will be a sacred text to remind people of who they really are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And if anyone's feeling called to receive the support of a mentor right now, and that mentor being you, what what is the person you enjoy supporting the most and where they're at?
The willing person.
Hmm.
The person who is ready to push through the fear and do the work.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
How about you?
Very same. A
Yeah.
man that's ready to live a beautiful life and that's tired of doing things over and over and,
Hmm.
and not getting the result they want,
Hmm.
and who's ready to own their value and to live a life of fulfillment, connection, and happiness.
Yeah.
And yes, who's willing to do the work. It's very
Hmm.
important.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because I think that the key is that like an older paradigm of like therapy or doing the work was having somebody tell you what to do, or like looking to somebody else for the answers. So to me, being willing is like, you're really going to be willing to do the work yourself and not have anybody try and fix something for you. I think that's key. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 Well, I appreciate this, Cara. Thank you very much for having me on here.
Me too. And hey, before you go, people are going to be able to find you on Facebook here. So I have you tagged on this.
Yeah.
And then on Instagram,
Hmm.
they can
Yes.
find you.
Under Trentamus Briggs. Yeah. I
Yeah.
made it easy.
And do you have anything that's coming up that you want to share with anybody that's happening that they might want to know about?
Yeah. You know what? Actually, during everything that's happening right now, I wanted to be able to, there's clients that I work with for 6 months together or longer. And we deep dive, and that's something that is a nice investment, and both mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. And so I'm offering I'm going to do 5 sessions for men on a sliding scale basis. So I know a lot of men that need help right now, and they're not able to necessarily
Mm-hmm.
afford it, and I still want to be of support. I'm also putting together an online men's group,
Beautiful.
and so that men can come together to get support, to connect with one another, and to have, it is so vital for us as men to connect with men.
Yeah.
And we've done the opposite throughout our life. We've been in competition and kind of separate ourselves, but it is imperative for us to have other men where we can be vulnerable and where we are, and also get supported and seen and called up from a place of celebration and love. So
Yeah.
I'm putting those things together. 5
Beautiful.
uh, sliding scale 1 hour sessions for whoever wants them, whoever's ready to do the work, who really could use the support, and any man that's willing and ready to become a part of a men's group,
Mm-hmm.
and to show up within that and get support, and not only receive support but also to give it.
Right. And will that group be online?
It is,
Yeah.
yes, it's going to be through Zoom.
Beautiful. So will you, like, after we're finished, will you go onto the comments of this video and just type in a couple of things so people can find you?
I will.
Thank you.
I will.
Well, thank you. It was really nice to chat again.
It was.
This
It
time
was.
you were in the hot seat rather than me. That was nice.
It was good. Yeah, it felt good, and I'm excited to see you continually to bring this into the world.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, I really appreciate it all. Thanks for sharing your heart and doing the work that you do. It's good stuff.
Happy and honored to do so.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. Be well,
Okay,
everyone.
bye.
Bye.